So you have to hop on antibiotics, and your biggest concern is, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get bloated, my digestive system's messed up, my whole gut biome is gonna be out of whack. And that's a valid concern, but that might not be the biggest risk that you need to be aware of. If you start noticing that you're taking antibiotics and you're getting bruising and maybe your wounds aren't healing as well, things like that, you might need to look a little bit deeper into what's going on. Because sometimes you might think, oh my gosh, this is an infection, my infection's getting worse, and that's why I'm having all these issues. But it could actually be the effect of the antibiotics on this one particular vitamin. After today's video, check out House of Macadamia if you want to get some awesome macadamia nuts at awesome prices and some really cool things like macadamia nut bars, macadamia nut oil, chocolate covered macadamia nuts that don't have any sugar. Check out House of Macadamia. So that is a 20% off discount link for you to get whatever you want from them. You're not gonna find this discount anywhere else. This is exclusive to Thomas DeLauer's channel. So if you like macadamia nuts, you like those monounsaturated fats, and you wanna support a company that's supporting local farmers in South Africa, and they're the largest producer of macadamia nuts in the world, then check them out. So 20% off discount link for House of Macadamias right down there below. And their mocha flavored macadamia nut bar, game changer. No sugar, and you'll be satisfied like all day. The deficiency I'm talking about is vitamin K. And it's one that isn't talked about enough because it's pretty rare for people to become deficient in vitamin K. However, we're starting to see more research that shows that antibiotics might affect how we synthesize vitamin K. This does not mean avoid antibiotics. Like, if you need proper medical intervention and need antibiotics, I think that's great. I think antibiotics have saved a lot of things. We just need to use proper forward-thinking science to think, how can we combat the negative effects? Vitamin K is involved in coagulation. There's a case study with a burn victim, and he was having issues like he was not healing, the coagulation was not working, and he was bruising and all this stuff. And they had him on, obviously, very high amounts of antibiotics. And they at first thought that it was the sepsis, like he had gone septic, and that was affecting his bleeding and affecting his inability to coagulate. And then they realized eventually, oh wow, like the antibiotics are actually having a negative impact on his vitamin K. And that is what's keeping him from healing and causing all the bruising and the issues there. So very, very interesting stuff. Now we're starting to see some potential theories out there that antibiotics are disrupting the vitamin K metabolic cycle within the liver. So vitamin K, it sounds like something that's so simple that we get from like leafy greens or we get from certain animal products. And in some ways it is, but it's a very complicated vitamin. It's a fat-soluble vitamin that's very critical, and it goes through these synthesis processes, and it goes through these different metabolisms in the gut microbiome and also in the liver. So if we're disrupting the metabolic cycle in the liver through antibiotics, we could just be excreting vitamin K. Then we look at other research that was actually older. So the International Journal of Vitamin Research had published a paper demonstrating that antibiotics may end up making vitamin K deficiencies worse. They saw this through different things, and they were talking about, okay, if people go on antibiotics, then perhaps we need to supplement vitamin K2. And the simple theory here is our gut bacteria are heavily involved in the synthesis of K2. So vitamin K1 we get from leafy greens, we get from some vegetables, things like that. Vitamin K2 we can get from beef liver, we can get from meat, we can get from eggs, cheese, dairy, things like that. But the bulk of it we are synthesizing in our body, okay? And we can synthesize it from other compounds and cofactors, but then we can also synthesize it from K1 to K2. And a lot of that happens in our gut and in our liver. So bacteria are involved in that process. So if you're on antibiotics and you wipe out your gut bacteria, you are potentially taking serious risk in being able to synthesize vitamin K. The good news is it's usually only specific strains of bacteria, which are still kind of trying to uncover. But the other side is that usually a short-term intervention of antibiotics isn't going to impact this all that much. It's when people have serious issues or they're septic and they have to go on extreme antibiotics or go on antibiotics for a longer period of time. But people are always so concerned about just their gut health, you don't think about how the gut and the liver are involved in the synthesis of these vitamins that we create in our body. What can you do? Okay, for one, if you're gonna be on antibiotics, as soon as you come off, get on some probiotics, eat some kimchi. Sauerkraut kind of does the trick, but kimchi is better because of the prebiotics. Psyllium husk, chia, flax, do whatever you can to increase the proliferation of gut bacteria. That is very important. Taking a good probiotic if you need to, that's obviously important too. Supplementing with vitamin K2 in what is called an MK7 form is very important as well. That's the form you want to use. Okay, and as far as plants and animals that you can eat go, the leafy greens are going to be great, but if you're having a leftover sort of issue synthesizing, you might want to go straight for like the beef liver, go for the eel, go for raw dairy if you can, go for raw cheese, raw milk, whatever. The problem is that if your gut microbiome is weak, the raw dairy might be hard. So you might need to start with regular pasteurized, or if you can't get raw dairy, you have to lean on pasteurized anyway. Then lastly, things like eggs and any other real meat source that's going to give you that quality K2. So as always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.